Welcome back to the Paper Road Bylaw hearings today. Thank you again to everyone who has presented this morning. A few reminders for the afternoon as new people join us for the afternoon sessions. Firstly, your emergency exits are the door you came in, and this one over here to my left. In the case of an emergency, please assemble at the front of the building and wait there until you've been told the building is clear. In the event of any unsafe behaviours, the meeting will be adjourned and the committee members will leave until it's safe to return. Please, I ask that anyone with devices or cell phones, please make sure that they are on silent. If the meeting is interrupted by a cell phone, we will stop until such times as it has been muted. All submitters today will have 5 minutes to present. We suggest that presentations are made during the first 3 or 4 minutes and that you allow 1 to 2 minutes for questions of clarification from councillors. However, that said, your 5 minutes is able to be used in the way that you see fits you best. A reminder for elected members that we need to approach these hearings with an open mind and that we are to take into account all written and oral submissions when it comes to the deliberations. We are here to listen to submitters and can ask questions to clarify or get further elaboration on a particular point in a submission, but we are not here to comment on submissions, engage in debate with submitters, offer solutions or indicate support or otherwise to any submission in either a verbal or physical way. So with all of that in mind, we will move on to the submissions for the afternoon, and we'll start with Kerry Hayes. Kerry, come and join us at the table. Councillors, Kerry's submission is number 3270, online packet 9, page 3352. Speaker pack number 36. Welcome, Kerry. As I mentioned, you have 5 minutes to present to us. So make a start when you're ready. Amy here will give you a wave at 4 minutes. It's just to let you know that your time is coming to an end, so just keep an eye out for that. Start when you're ready.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. Myself, my name is Kerry Hayes. Most people call me Buster. I'm a 3rd generation resident of Larwee. We've had a batch here since 1947, currently living here. Also, I'm the local fire chief for Cape Palliser region. I've been in the fire service for about 8-9 years now. So we've had one significant fire around the corner, just off the Paper Road, which started where it looked like just around where the Stonewall Creek is, Stonewall Stream, if you're familiar with that. It was a large fire. It was a campaign fire. It took 2 days to put it out. It was fought on the ground. It was also fought by choppers. So I'm against the bylaw simply for the fact that if we have any incidents, accidents, fires, medical emergencies, etc. in the area, we need to be able to get there and we need to be able to provide assistance. So if the gate is shut, we need to have access around that area, and that's also fenders. Spoken with fenders this morning and they have said, you know, they haven't really got an opinion either way. Bit of a hot potato, but we do need access around there. Also, I'm not sure if you're familiar or not, but there is very poor cell phone coverage here. There is marginal cell phone coverage at the lighthouse itself. At the Stonewall Stream, it's a popular camping ground, there's a tiny bit of cell phone coverage. But not only am I a fire chief and I go around there a little bit in the summer season just to check on things, I'm a recreational hunter and I go around there almost weekly into this area that we're talking about. And from my eyes, what I can see, most of the damage has been caused only in the last 1.5 years. Most of it, where it's been ripped up by 4-wheel drives and just hooligans, basically irresponsible people, is the main cause of the degradation which has been happening there. Ever since COVID, now we really got very busy with tourists from out of the area. But we do get a few of them around past the lighthouse as well, but most of the damage, 90% of the damage there, is caused by irresponsible 4-wheel drive users. It's not the locals. Generally, young people that drive around in 4-wheel drives have no respect for other people's property. and pretty much just having a bit of fun at someone else's expense. Yeah. What else was I going to say? If it is fenced off, and however it goes with access, you need to probably have some consideration for the car parking at the lighthouse. On a busy weekend, you know, you can't even turn a car around there. Sometimes you almost need traffic lights. It gets that busy there, so might need to free up some space there. Well, that's it.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Councillors, do you have any questions of clarification? Councillor Evans, we'll start with you.
I think so. Thanks for your submission, Kerry. So that fire that you spoke about, it was a 2-day event. Was that the 1990 fire?
No, it was not 1995.
Okay.
That
fire
was a different area, that fire.
Yeah. So the fire that you 2-day event that you spoke about, what year was that?
I can't remember. I was just trying to find the video of it. I think it was 21.
Okay, so only about 4 or 5 years, 5 years ago.
Pretty recent.
Thank you. Any other questions of clarification for Kerry? Councillor Woodcock.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. Seeing you know the area quite well, we've had quite a few submissions about things said about having access from Mangatawi and that. What's your opinion on the access way from Mangatawi?
So I have extensive knowledge of all those hills for 130 years. If you're sure there's access in there, you need to know what you're doing. It would be, if you were to go from a Mangatoi hut to access the dock reserve where the Ngāpatiki fan is, it would take you 2 days. There is no tracks anywhere across those ranges. You would end up involving search and rescue. You would need to be issuing e-perps. The weather changes in an instant. It is very, very inaccessible country. No tracks. There's no tracks anywhere, no fawn tracks. Sorry, there is one, and it's at the end of the Stonewall Creek where the Twin Waterfalls are, if you're familiar with that area. And that goes up around the mountain face, basically. I don't know how Doc even surveyed that. I've done it once, and I've spent a lot of time in the bush, and it shouldn't really be there. It's just a hazard. I haven't seen any other users use it. I have done it myself. I have done that several times, but it is you need to know what you're doing, basically.
Thank you for that clarification. That brings your time to an end, and we do appreciate you coming out to speak to us. As I've mentioned throughout the day, both your written and verbal submission will be considered as part of deliberations as we move forward in this process. So thank you very much.
Anyone would like a drive around there or a tour? I'll just sing out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Justin is online. Justin. Our next submission is from Justin. Justin is joining us online. So when you're ready, Justin, if you turn on your camera and unmute your microphone. Councillors, Justin's submission is number 3282, online packet number 9, page 3365, speakers pack number 37. Justin, I mentioned before, but I'm not sure if you heard, you have 5 minutes to speak to councillors today. You are welcome to start when you're ready. Amy will give you a wave at 4 minutes just to let you know that your time is coming to an end. If there is time within that 5 minutes, councillors will be given the opportunity to ask you any questions of clarification that they may have. So you make a start when you're ready.
Sorry, just before
Thanks
you do.
very much.
Oh, sorry, just pause for 1 moment.
37, I've got Kip here rather than Justin.
That should be the
Kip made the submission, but Justin
to speak.
Ah, okay, thank you. Yeah,
That's confusing.
thank you. Yeah, excellent.
Past it.
Sorry, it was just some technical questions, but you start when you're ready, Justin.
Thanks. Can I just check that you can hear me clearly?
We can, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yes, well, Kip and myself are both council members of the New Zealand Speleological Society, which is sort of caving in layman's terms. We represent over 400 members. Our members don't only do caving, they do sort of all sorts of outdoor recreation. So tramping, canyoning, hunting, fishing, caving. Very few of our members sort of do only one activity. We are against, so we do not support the sort of closure of the unformed legal road. The NZSS, that we recognise the rights of landowners, but equally there is rights to access to the backcountry across New Zealand, and that access is already very limited, and we feel that actually councils should be supporting and keeping open as much of those accesses. We're very sympathetic to the plights of private landowners. I myself, the property that my wife and I own and live on, backs onto a reserve, so I'm familiar, with the public sort of using the reserve, and some of that public straying from the reserve. So I'm personally, as I say, sympathetic to sometimes the difficulties as a landowner you have being adjacent to a reserve, but I would never think to suggest to limit the public's access to that reserve. I've needed to, or we've needed to demarcate where that boundary is, and accept that, yep, sometimes some unideal people might sort of push that boundary, but they're few and far between. And to remove the access to the public generally because of the behaviour of a few bad apples, we think is unreasonable. Many of our members, including Kip and myself, have enjoyed access beyond Cape Palliser for various activities, as I say, as have many of our members. So yeah, we don't support the closure of the access at all, while still remaining sympathetic to the plight of the private landowners. We also, in our submission, draw attention to a suggestion, not in the pack itself, but into the frequently asked questions that the council sort of put up on its website, suggesting that the closure is in part necessary to protect the public from the natural risks that there are in the backcountry. And we don't see this as necessary at all. There is no call on landowners, councils, DOC, the government more broadly, to protect the public from natural risks in the backcountry. I mean, yes, if you're building a structure like DOC a hut, that it's got to be compliant with the building code, but there's no responsibility to protect people from backcountry risks. In fact, many New Zealanders, for a whole variety of reasons, and as I say, Kip and I represent cavers, actually, sort of enjoy some of the challenges that the backcountry has to offer. So I've seen my wave there, so I'll hand over for a minute of questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Justin, just out of curiosity, I must admit I am not an active canyoner or caver. In the sort of normal course of this activity, would you and your members normally walk into a space for caving, or would you drive as sort of far as possible using 4x4s? What's the normal process there?
Yeah, so I mean, across the country, we use all forms of access to get into caves: walking, driving, helicopters for the alpine caves in the South Island are very much the best form of transport. Boats sometimes. There are a few significant cave systems that are best accessed by water. So yeah, the whole remit really of transport options.
Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying that for me. That does bring us to the end of your time this afternoon. Both your written and your verbal submission today will form part of our consideration as we move forward into deliberations. So thank you both to yourself and to your members for providing this information to us for consideration.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hearing us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't think we've got Chris Archer. No. Paul Clark. You'd like to join us, Paul? Councillors?
Excellent.
Paul's
Also.
Paul's submission is number 3343, online packet number 9, page 3435, and online speakers pack number, not online, speakers pack number 40. Welcome, Paul. Your 5 minutes starts when you're ready. As with the others, Amy will give you a wave at 4 minutes, so do try and keep a wee eye. She does her best to wave,
No problems.
but when you're ready, you make a start.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Clark. I started hunting the Howering area and tramping in it in the late 60s. I still hunt in that area. Now, which brings us to public access is paramount. The New Zealand backcountry belongs to everybody. And we need that right of access. And already you have a paper road, which by definition is a public road. So therefore, you may take the easy way out, fence the road to the stone wall. I know it costs money, but that way we'll put in marker posts, concrete ones, so nobody will try and ramrod them out of the place. Because there are assholes out there who do things like that. Let's be fair about that. We're not all a beautiful society. And, you know, if the iwi pay their share of the costings, because it's a public road, they're a landowner adjacent, and the council, why not? I mean, it does cost money. I'm not stupid. I've been in business myself for many years, but we need to maintain that access, whether it's for hunting, in my case, diving, just going to the seashore, perhaps actually create a decent camping area by the stone wall in conjunction with DOC. And DOC as an adjacent landowner could also be a part of the cost because it's only fair. But the minute you close that public road, it will never be reopened, or very unlikely to be so. We need this to stay permanent long after I'm dead and gone, and most of us around the table, because the backcountry is an integral part of New Zealand. I've been a professional deer culler, meat shooter, tramper, climber all over New Zealand and the world. And access is just so important. It's not a goddamn it, it's going to cost $250,000 to fence the road or market. No, we can't afford that. It's more important than that. And also engage with the communities like the deer stalkers and other backcountry, the tramping clubs, and say, well, can you help mark the road and create a thing so we all know where it goes? There's no bullshit. It's all up front. And everybody's as happy as you can be within reason. And also, as a previous speaker alluded to, the policing in the Southern Wairarapa around there is non-existent. You'd be very lucky to get a cop there for anything. Sorry, but that's not attacking the New Zealand police per se, but the reality is, if you were at White Rock Station and asked for the cops, how long would it take to get there? 2 hours? 3 hours?
No, they wouldn't get there.
Thank you for your clarification. What was this time? Sorry. You know, I think the thing is you've got to man up to it. Yes, I know you have some of the highest rating values in the whole of New Zealand, Southern Wairarapa, it's well known. I personally live in Upper Hutt, but this is one of those things. But look at the public benefit. The guys from the caving clubs, trampers, fishermen, engage with the community. Don't do it in isolation. I mean, the tramping club now look after most of the backcountry huts in New Zealand, not DOC. So why don't you engage with everybody, have a public meeting and ask who would come forward and help for a few weekends to mark the road. I mean, if it fails, I guess I'm perhaps wrong, but I don't think it would. I mean, our deer stalkers branch alone in the Hutt Valley, we have just under 1,000 financial members this year. It's one of the biggest sporting clubs in the Hutt Valley, period. Ask them, ask the Wairarapa branch, ask the tramping club, the Masterton Tramping Club. Engage with people, don't sit there and spend in isolation and pretend it doesn't matter, because it does matter. If you can engage with the community and bring them all in, no, you won't have 100% consensus guaranteed. But if you don't even try, you won't know what you can achieve till you try. So why don't you try, engage with the community, have some public work parties out there, mark the road, so nobody can say, oh shit, I didn't know I was off road or anything like that. And perhaps buy a little bit of land so there is a proper public area to camp and recreate. Engage with your community.
Thank you very much. Councillors, we do have time for a question or two. Have we got any questions for Paul this afternoon?
Very well said, Paul. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good ideas in there.
Happy to help if I can, guys.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem, guys.
And as I've mentioned, both your verbal and your written submission will be taken into consideration as we move.
Again, that's fine, okay, I'm available.
Testing.
All right, I'll fart, okay?
Thanks, Paul.
Paul. It's on. No problem.
Brent Reid, are you here? Fantastic. Brent, come and join us. Councillors, Brent's submission is number 3344, online packet number 9, page 3436, speakers pack 41. You're welcome to start when you're ready. Amy will give you a wave at 4.
Good afternoon. My name is Brent Reid. First up, I'm opposed to the closing of the road. Now, for students, read my submission. I was raised in Carterton, have a long affiliation with Ngawi and hunting, fishing, diving around the region. And my first memories is back in the 1970s, driving from the Ngāputiki end around the coast in the Series 1 Land Road. But I note that you're considered out of the district if you live in like Masterton. But in actual fact, people in Masterton consider Ngawi as part of their playground. So we might be out of district by boundaries, but we're part of the Wairarapa. So there's quite a negative implication there, but we are part of the district. And I'm thankful to the local iwi that they've always allowed access around there, and I've driven around there in 4 drives, quad bikes for recreational reasons, and I've gotten dive permit off Harmy sitting over there to go around and get extra kaimoana when I need from time to time, and it's been great. In fact, Harmy just lives around the corner from me in Marston, so he's out of district, if you want to put it that way, but it's not, though, is it? But I want to address a couple of council concerns, like damage to fauna and flora. Those who are familiar with the place, there's not a lot of damage you can do to fauna and flora around there. It's scrub, grass, and hard rock. And if you're going to go down that path, I go up in the Tararoos, you do more damage up there, you might as well lock the country up. Because people walk on land. That's what we do. Health and safety, I think that's already been addressed by previous speakers. It's actually more dangerous to go in other access routes, and even walking along the coast. It would be more dangerous for people than for people to walk along a safely marked track. And to protect culturally significant areas, I think it's very important. And if they were clearly marked and signposted, Kiwis are respectful. We're respectful of places like that. And another thing that was mentioned was time for the whenua, the land to heal. Now that's a belief that some people hold, and everyone's entitled to those beliefs, almost as though land is like a person, but not everyone holds that belief. It doesn't need time to heal, it just needs to be respected. There's a big difference there. And so if you have a clearly marked access, track, and appropriate signage with history and all that sort of stuff, like they have in other places around the country, I think you'd find the public would respect that. But I do want to invoke a sacred right, and that sacred right, I believe, is something that all Kiwis hold, and that's right to access our natural coastlines and hills and mountains. And that's something that all Kiwis have, no matter what belief they have. It's something that we've held dear. And so I want to sort of invoke that on, can I say, behalf of Kiwis, and invoke that right for people to have that right. Now, I would like to always be able to drive around there, but I can see the issue raised, and to me, a compromise could be reached by simply maybe restricting vehicle access, but allowing foot traffic and cycle traffic. Because nowadays, e-bikes are prevalent, and people like to go for a ride around the coast, and foot traffic and cycles just don't damage anything, do they? And the way I see it is, land is for the people, not the other way around. It's for us to enjoy. So that's my brief submission. So any questions?
Thank you very much, Brent. Any questions for Brent this afternoon? Questions of clarification or elaboration? Very clear, thank you. Welcome to stay and continue listening to submitters. And as I say, your written and verbal submission will form part of our consideration moving forward. Now, I know for sure that I am going to mispronounce this, but is Goosh? Gusha, thank you very much. Gusha's submission is 3365, online packet number 9, page 4168, speakers pack number 42. Welcome, thank you for being with us. You may start when you're ready, and as I say, Amy will give you a wave at 4 minutes just to let you know that you're coming to the end of your time.
Kia ora koutou, greetings everyone, thanks for having me. I'm here to speak up for the Stonewall Scenic Reserve. Established by the government in 2006 when it purchased 121 hectares of Ngāwhatiki Station from Trino Course. Before that, in case you didn't know, Ngāwhatiki ran from around the Stonewall all the way to White Rock. The money for that came from it was contestable, it came from the Nature Heritage Fund, and their job is to legally and physically protect through purchase or covenant original landscapes with a very diverse natural diversity. So the Stonewall block was an extremely important biological area, unique to the Lower North Island due to its pristine nature and regionally threatened plant species and communities. Scenic reserves are legally protected areas under the Reserves Act and they're managed by DOC. The new reserve status was intended to protect this really special piece of land from the forest park above it down to the shore and to protect the unique Ngāwhatiki fan. So part of the contract of sale and agreement with DOC in 2006 was that four-wheel drive vehicles were to be excluded from the Stonewall Scenic Reserve, limiting access to foot traffic only. Everyone knew this. I think we can all agree that DOC and the Crown have failed spectacularly to enforce that agreement. If they had been able to, I think South Island Upper District Council wouldn't be having to do it for them now. Why weren't DOC and the Crown able to enforce vehicle exclusion from the Stonewall Scenic Reserve? Because vehicle drivers simply refused to comply with the vehicle exclusion rule, with Trino before and DOC after the purchase. Vehicle drivers have simply gas-axed, cut, dismantled, broken down, destroyed, or removed gates blocking vehicle access, and they've driven through the Stonewall Scenic Reserve for a very, very long time. Vehicle drivers, whether they cut the gate or drove through after someone else cut the gate, have, in my opinion, disrespected, damaged, degraded, disturbed and diminished the previous pristine and unique Stonewall Scenic Reserve just by driving through it. Leaving things as they are now, without the proposed bylaw, guarantees no long-term sustainable legal mechanism for the protection and well-being of the reserve itself, the traditional landowners in their private land, or people like me, the public, who want to enjoy the Stonewall Scenic Reserve into the future. I recommend that the South Wairarapa District Council pass this bylaw. Number one. Number two, I recommend that DOC, the South Wairarapa District Council and the traditional landowners go further than that. I reckon they formally stop the current paper road at the Stonewall boundary of the Stonewall Scenic Reserve, so there's no legal public vehicle access through the Stonewall Scenic Reserve to Ngāwhatiki, as was the intention when that reserve was established in 2006. And three, I recommend that DOC reinforce the message to the public that public vehicle traffic is excluded from the Stonewall Scenic Reserve. I want to thank the traditional landowners for their generosity to the public by not locking their gate to vehicles continuously ripping up their land. I want to thank the traditional landowners and Ngāti Hiniwaka for seeking this council's support to protect and restore their land, because through this bylaw, they're also going to protect and restore the Stonewall Scenic Reserve. And I want to thank the South Wairarapa District Council for having the guts to do it. We wouldn't drive through Maida Peak, we wouldn't drive through Milford Sound, we wouldn't drive through the Tongariro track. Why are we driving through our very precious, which everyone loves, Stonewall Scenic Reserve? I've been associated with the coast since I was 5 years old. I'm a lot older than that now. So I've got a long history of association and I love this area deeply, and I think I haven't heard many people talk about the fact that it's a reserve which is not supposed to have vehicles in it. Everyone thinks it's the main road. It's a Ngāpatiki basically. Any questions?
Thank you very much, councillor Elams, and then councillor Bosley.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much for your submission. It's very detailed and brought a lot of information in front of us.
Did you know that before?
No, I didn't.
Okay, cool.
So my question for you is you've talked about the plan from 2006,
Yeah.
plan between DOC and Trino, and the plan was
The
that
plan
DOC,
between the Crown
Crown and
and
DOC
Dock.
agreed to exclude vehicles from the reserve.
Yeah,
Do you know where we can find, do you have a copy of that plan?
I don't have a copy of the plan.
Mhm.
I have a copy of all of the media articles at that time referring to that. Chris Carter was quoted directly in New Zealand Herald, Wairarapa Times Age, et cetera, et cetera.
Because that would be great for us to be able to.
Yeah, I know it was
Get
done
to
under
you.
the 1990, under the Reserves Act, 19(1)A, B, C and that kind of thing. And I'm sure that in the government, because it was
Likewise.
$600,000, there's got to be a purchase agreement and contract. And that was part of the agreement. Doc must have that thing, The Surfies knew, everyone knew. Just no one took any notice, and unless you have a bylaw, no one's going to keep taking any notice.
Thank you. Sorry, councillor Bosley, that is actually the end of time. We'll hand to you for a first question next time.
No,
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah. What it contact and. Oh, you've got the visa.
Ray Scott, are you? Yeah, fantastic. Welcome, Ray. Councillors, Ray's submission is number 3395. It is online packet number 9, page 4206, speakers pack 45. Welcome, Ray. As per the other speakers, you have 5 minutes to submit to us this afternoon, and Amy will give you a wave at minute 4. Welcome to start when you're ready.
My name's Ray Scott. Most of my teenage younger years. Now moved to live in. I've used that coastline since I was 9 years old. Taught my kids to guide out there, cleaned up rubbish, seeked permits from DOC to track possums and teach my kids how to maintain pest control. You're not allowed firearms in the DOC recreational area, but you're allowed to use pellet guns. I taught my kids how to eradicate rabbits with the slug gun using several different methods. I've always respected the iwi and hapu land out there. We cleaned up rubbish. We've camped out there for 2 weeks at a time, using it as a base to get up into the hunting areas. I don't know the names of all these places because it's just personal place for me. I don't really care what they're called. I just know where I like to go. The other way in from the other side, I've tried it, and you've got to be an expert to get in from there. I turned around and got out because, I could just see it was going to be trouble for me. I'm not very good at explaining myself, but I've had 3 children that I've taught to dive, fish, hunt, camp. We've lit fires there in the past for food and warmth if we've been there in the winter time. We've done that respectfully by digging a hole, using rocks and putting our fires out before we leave. I probably would have taken a ton of rubbish over that many years out of there. I've got a side-by-side that we take in and out. I use my ute to get in there to carry the amount of equipment that we take in there. So 4 people dive gear, 100 kg chili bin. We go around the campsites in the mornings and stuff when people have been yahooing around, and we find it fun to clean up and see what stupid things have left behind. We found dive gear, pocket knives, and just because of financially in the last 2 years, we haven't been able to make that trip on my fixed income, and prices of everything's up. So I haven't been able to see a lot of it. I know that the last time I was out there for a visit would have been 3 or 4 months ago. You can only drive so far now because the sea has washed it out, and where the river washes come down, it's so hard washed out that it's really impossible to repair the road to make it accessible by 4-wheel drive. Same suggestions that you've heard before would be to fence off, say 50, 100 metres, whatever, from the high tide mark with a 2-strand fence with signs on it saying, you know, if you want to respect the area, people aren't really going to cut that fence and go up and play around in the grass area when they can travel through to where they want to go. Council's also got to think about the damage that will get caused out there if they lock disgruntled people out and they decide to take it on their hands to make their own way in, no matter how that is. So you could be in for an expense every month. I've tried to work with the landowner there. I got part of the Ongarangi Trust, if anyone knows who that is. And my partner and I were doing photography and stuff, so we would document the nesting of the oyster catcher and a couple of other seabirds, which I don't know the names of. They know, they've got the collection pictures, nesting on tops of rocks. We've got footage of cows stomping through nests on the shore where the oyster catchers nest. We're well aware of that. We don't use our vehicle off beaten tracks unless necessary. And I opposed it being shut off because I've just taught my kids that shit, it's the van, that's the place to go. You can feed yourself, you can drink out of that river. The water there is clean and fresh. There's ample seafood. There's been a documentary on YouTube done by NZ Andy and Brandon, who's a commercial fisherman out there, which I know Brandon, I've known a lot of people out there. In 1990, there was a big fire there and I was living in a batch with a friend. And had moved out before that fire came. There's only been 2 serious fires that I know of out there because most of the people that are out there are responsible. Thanks to YouTube, social media and all the rest of it, now people are turning into yahoos and go and skid up. You lock that one up, they're going to go somewhere else. What's more expensive to repair? I've seen footage and drone footage and photographs and my own footage. I've got terabytes and terabytes of footage of stuff from out there. I've reported stuff to police. It's never been done. I've given registration numbers, people using high-powered rifles in the dog recreation area where people could be camping. They don't know where these people are. They're firing willy-nilly around. So access for the police, I asked them to explain why. Well, basically, they've got to fly in. Otherwise, they've got to find a four-wheel-drive vehicle with someone experienced to get around them. Most of the locals would know, but the cops around here probably aren't locals anymore. We've had nervous people.
Thank you, Ray. That is the end of your 5 minutes. So you've done very well, and I do acknowledge that it's not easy to come and present in person in a forum like this, but you did very well.
I'm a hands-on person.
Yeah, so, no, I do acknowledge that it's not easy, so thank you for being here.
Thanks, Ray.
Your written and your verbal submission will be taken into account as we move forward, and thank you for making the trip here today.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
We are running ahead of time. So we'll just see who we've got in the room. Kim, are you online with us already?
Yes, I am.
Welcome, Kim. If you just give us 2 seconds to locate your paperwork in front of us. Councillors, Kim's submission is 1870. Online packet 6. I'll go back there.
I know that's true.
I'll go back there. Yeah, page 1903. Speaker pack 61. Kim, you have 5 minutes to present to us today. Amy here on my right will give you a wave at 4 minutes just to let you know that your time is coming to an end. We do suggest leaving a minute or so at the end of your 5 minutes just to allow councillors to give to ask any questions of clarification, but how you choose to use your 5 minute slot is up to you. Start when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Hopefully I won't use the whole 5 minutes. I'm not used to making oral submissions. It's the first time I really have. My name is Kim. I've used that coastline to take photos and to take my whānau to that spot. And currently my role is an operations manager of a charitable trust that works in the outdoor sector. It's a very rewarding and satisfying part of my job, and it involves working alongside young people to increase awareness and knowledge of conservation efforts all around. It's a role that I've taken across the last 6 years. So with the knowledge that I have in front of me and that I've read about, obviously you've got some real experts that are providing submissions today. But for me, I think the biggest problem I have is that all but a few, the prohibition approach doesn't really set us up for success if we're going to engage and encourage young people to celebrate conservation efforts, environmental awareness, and all those things. So I just want to submit that a combination of education and possibly enforcement would be a preferred approach, and by eliminating maybe the vehicle access, which may help solve, and educational tools such as signage and things like that is going to be far more beneficial for continuity of awareness and conservation efforts than a prohibition sort of lens. I think by including the public and conservation efforts alongside DOC and iwi is the most effective way to generate awareness and education, societal responsibility with plenty of eyes on across the board. If the road that has been spoken about is in fact a legal road, they have the same status as any public road, and we already have laws in place that deal with criminal and traffic offending that could be applied if enforcement is required. I'm not sure if that's helpful, but in my view, that aspect of enforcement is already in existence. And, you know, if you just sort of work with iwi, increasing the mana of iwi, if they're working with future generations and forming a responsible approach to conservation, that area would be potentially beneficial as well. I find that prohibition sort of causes resentment rather than helpfulness, and actually can be detrimental to public perceptions, and it doesn't really encourage people to get on board with the efforts if that's what you're looking for. I think that including everyone in conservation efforts is the only way we're going to reach the heights we need to as a country as a whole. So it's more of a holistic look. Locking folks out is not the way forward if that's the intention. I've worked alongside DOC for a wee while now. I work in a space as a concessionaire on conservation land. Their current stance is to partner with iwi and collaborate with others, but really we should be partnering with everyone, in my view, and encouraging as much kaitiakitanga as possible to set ourselves up for the long term through educational tools rather than prohibition. There's other things we can do, such as fencing and signage and all of those things to help create awareness. That's sort of where I look at this, and I'd like to hope that in the future more and more people are aware of what's required to make a space, or to heal a space, put it that way, if that's the words we're using these days. But, that's just my oral submission.
Fantastic, Kim. As I said to the submitter before you, Ray, we do acknowledge that it's not always easy to front up and make a verbal submission. So well done to you for doing so. There is time for a question or two for Kim if anyone has a question of clarification. No, I think you've made yourself quite clear, Kim. So thank you for your time. Both your written and verbal submission will form our considerations as we move forward to deliberation. So thank you for taking part in this consultation.
Thank you for your time too. Hopefully you reach a nice outcome for everybody.
Thanks, Kim.
Tricky job.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay.
You are welcome to stay online and continue watching submitters. We just ask that you turn off your camera and mute your microphone, please.
Thank you.
Struan Griffiths. We'll just need a minute or two for people to locate. Yes, so if you just give us a minute, take a seat, but just give councillors a moment to find the submission. So Struan's submission is not in the speaker pack, so you will find it at submission number 3283. Online packet 9, page 3367. Just let councillors whiz through the paperwork and we'll be.
You need help on your devices. I can come around and no, it's not. Just say
It's just on.
actual. You need to go to the elected members lounge.
So to your elected members lounge.
In the lounge.
in the lounge.
Go out of here and go into the,
You in online package?
Oh, package
over here I am.
367.
Go back into your
So it's not on the pack, is it?
It's not in the speakers pack. It's in
strategy working committee.
online packet number 9,
Okay.
Okay, no,
Okay.
page 3367.
I'll have it, I'm sure.
Scroll down.
I can find.
Hearings version 2. There you go. And then if you scroll down to page 8, at the bottom of page 8, and then go to online submissions.
Can't reach this page.
Just yet.
Folders in.
And then packet 9.
I have to help them.
And the easiest thing to do is just actually type in, just go to the, type in Struan.
Can't even access it.
That's right. Take notes.
Yeah, I'll take notes.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way.
No, there he is.
What page was it?
367.
Yeah, I can't even. I'll check off.
Pages.
Page
So
road.
one, you're so strongly.
Yeah, because
I
I was gonna make it bigger.
just try that packet there.
Yeah, lovely.
Sorry, was it
Done.
mine, Amy?
It's online packet 9,
I'll just take some notes.
online submissions,
Yeah.
online,
Sorry, what's his name? 1, 2, 3.
3
online.
TRUAN.
And then should take you to packet 9,
It's Christian or surname.
packet 9 at the bottom.
Sorry.
One, first name, Griffiths.
Right, thank you. Yeah.
Reason it didn't come.
Sorry, matey.
That's why we keep, for the most part, everyone in a speaker's pack, because then they're nice and neat, and that's not a mistake. That's just a glitch in this particular system. But you can imagine that if we had to do this for everyone, it would take an awfully long time.
SDRUAN. Should bring up his name. There you go.
Okay.
Excellent.
Is everybody else on that side okay?
Just take notes.
Maybe we're fine. We'll just, sorry, go back to it.
Fine,
Yep.
later.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience. Like everybody else, you will have 5 minutes that will start when you start speaking, not when we started looking for any information. So start when you're ready. Amy will give you a wave at 4 minutes to let you know that your time is coming to an end.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Struan Griffiths, and I am opposing the road closure from the lighthouse to Stonewall Creek. My family own a section out at Ngawi, and we are ratepayers. The legal road is for all to use. It acts as a second emergency access for Ngawi and Palliser residents. As it is a critical lifeline. South Wairarapa District Council is rushing this bylaw through with the backing of only a few landowners and unsubstantiated claims of protecting endangered flora and fauna in Tonga. South Wairarapa District Council is inconsistent with, for example, the Ngāpatiki owner being notified to open his public road access while they try to close off the other side. You as a council, aren't you supposed to represent the ratepayers, not a small minority? What would be a second option for road closure? Would there be keys, cameras put in place, fences put up, working with the iwi? There are lots of different ways around this instead of just a blanket rule to close it all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Plenty of time for questions. Does anyone have any questions for Struan at this time? Councillor
I was
Bosley.
going to say, given that some of the guys can't access your paper, but you have actually included some suggestions in here. Do you want to run through those? These guys can take
Yeah,
notes.
might be an idea.
What your suggestions were?
We're gonna look at it.
Are you going to look at it?
Go through it anyhow.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, and I've picked up on what you've been saying. Yeah, so we'll go into more detail as we go through deliberations. Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions? No, thank you very much for your,
Yeah, thanks very much.
thank you for the time to present to us
Sure.
today. both your written submission and your verbal submission will be taken into account. And the fact that a few councillors don't have it in front of them right now, that doesn't mean to say that they haven't and won't consider it going forward. It just means it's just physically not in front of them at this moment. So rest assured it will be read. Thank you. We are going to take a 10-minute adjournment and we'll come back at 2 p.m. to finish out the afternoon.
Amy's like the other shafts.
And amazing comments saying again, because I told me you really can't.
Please.
Welcome back, everyone. We have the last few submitters to be heard this afternoon. It's just a final reminder that submitters have 5 minutes to present to us today. That we are here to hear the submitters with an open mind, and that we are to take into account written and oral submissions when it comes to deliberations. That we are here to listen to submitters and can ask questions of clarification or to ask submitters to elaborate on a particular point, but that we are not here to comment on submissions, engage in debate with the submitters, offer solutions, or importantly indicate support or otherwise for any particular submission. So just checking who we've got online. We don't have Andy Foster with us as yet. So with that, we will start with Greg Brown. Greg's submission is number 3106. Online packet number 9, page 3165. Speakers pack number 63. Good afternoon, Greg. Welcome. As I mentioned, you have 5 minutes to present to us today. Amy will give you a wave at minute 4 so that you know that your time is nearing its end. And if there is time, councillors will ask questions of clarification if they have any. And I believe Amy has the means to run a presentation for you.
It's okay with you, Ms. Sadler Fuller. The discussion we had with Amy was that Michael and I were able to speak for 8 minutes, allowing 2 minutes for questions. Is that?
If that's how you'd like to use your time, that we can make that work. So sorry, just you're speaking to the same presentation?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. With that in mind, councillors, just so that you're aware, Michael's submission is speaker pack 67, just so that you can switch between the two should you wish to.
Just before the time starts, would it be possible for me to just acknowledge the presence of local weaving?
You can do that as part of your submission, but we are very clear that and I know it probably seems unreasonable, but the hearing process is very formal and very clear, and it's the same for everyone.
You know when it's time to start?
When you're ready, you start, and when you start, Amy will start the clock.
Okay, next slide, please, Amy. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Amy and the local areas kaitiaki for this area, and would like to respectfully say to him that this submission, what you're about to hear, no way affects our desire to work with the community. So, who has saved White Rock? So we're a group of surfers who are very, very keen at keeping surf spots in New Zealand accessible to everyone. What we've done is we've established a presence, which I'm sure has been represented by a number of submissions, seeking to protect this area. What we bring is some local knowledge of the area and some of the issues with access here, and also a very good understanding of coastal laws, especially the rules about protecting important surf breaks, such as this, which I'm referring to White Rock in the spin. Why this matters is we both understand the surfing community and the legal side of protecting surf access in New Zealand. Our request, next slide, please, Amy, is we request that the council cancel this current process and undertake a new consultation with proper statutory analysis and seek practical alternatives to the proposed bylaw that maintain public access. Next slide, please, Amy. Here are our concerns. We have legal concerns. We believe that the closure of the public road at Ngawi, including the illegally locked gate at Ngāpatiki, which doesn't form part of this current bylaw, prevents access to White Rock surfing community with equipment, this creating health and safety issues and also being discriminatory. The point we're seeking to make here is to walk these distances with surfing equipment, have a surf and return safely is problematic in the sense that you'd need to be incredibly fit. Procedural issues, we believe the consultation process was inadequate as the council failed to properly consult with affected parties and communities, including the surfing community, which we represent. We believe it was, well, clearly there's been no recreational assessment study undertaken prior to drafting this bylaw, which is a concern. Policy conflicts. The proposed bylaw contradicts the NZCPS, which is the New Zealand Coastal Policy Statement, particularly items 13 and 15 and other policies that should protect White Rock area, significantly impacting the surfing community's access. We also believe that from an emergency planning perspective, there was a report commissioned by the South Warringah District Council from a consulting firm back in approximately 1996. I believe that you will find that an emergency management planning, when considering how a road may be put behind the pinnacles to gain access to the town of Naui, should there be a natural disaster of some significance, found that this public road would be an alternative route there in our particular White Rock area. Next slide, please, Amy. I'm now going to ask Michael to speak following slides.
Kia ora. My name is Michael Gunson. I'm a founding member of the Surf Break Protection Society, SPS, previously holding the position of Vice President, Secretary and Committee Communications Officer. I was also the Secretary of the Wellington Surf Riders Club. In those roles, I participated successfully in submitting to the Board of Inquiry to the New Zealand Coastal Policy Statement for inclusion of surf break protection in that national policy statement. This resulted in Policy 16 specifically for protection of surf breaks of national significance as listed in Schedule 1. The Spit White Rock was initially shortlisted in our submissions as one of only 6 surf breaks or surf break areas we were requesting for that schedule. The Spit White Rock was mentioned in all the DOC working papers for Schedule 1. SPS was spearheading the submission process and corresponding with many surf rider clubs around the country at the time, many of whom were promoting their own favourite surf breaks. During the submission phase, with the Board of Inquiry, there was a freight train of correspondence between our own technical advisory group, our committee, and the Board of Inquiry on developing a criteria for surf breaks to be included in Schedule 1. Eventually, the Board of Inquiry accepted the Wave Track New Zealand Surfing Guide as a criteria for surf breaks of national significance. Any surf breaks with a rating of 10, stoke rating of 10 in this book qualifies for Schedule 1. The Spit holds that rating. The board also accepted that Schedule 1 is not finite and more surf breaks may be added over time. The Spit White Rock appears to have been omitted purely by clerical error in the growing of that shortlist from 6 surf breaks to the 17 in the final release of the NZCPS. Policy 16 of the NZCPS is protect the surf breaks of national significance for surfing listed in Schedule 1 by ensuring that activities in the coastal environment do not adversely affect the surf breaks and avoiding adverse effects of other activities on access to and use and enjoyment of the surf breaks. Surf breaks of regional significance are protected primarily through Policies 13, preservation of a natural character, where surf breaks are recognised as natural features, landscapes, and for their amenity values. The obligation to identify or map natural features is addressed in Policy 15. The Spit White Rock has already been mapped by the Greater Wellington Regional Council in its Schedule K of its Natural Resources Plan. Policy P51 of the Natural Resources Plan gives direction on minimising adverse effects on the access to surf breaks in Schedule K. The effects on access to the Spit and second surf breaks by this proposed bylaw are not minimal. This bylaw would impose significant adverse effects on access to them. Councils, through regional policy statements, regional plans and district plans, must give effect to the NZCPS. This draft paper road bylaw is a product of a flawed process. Prior to the draft, there was no recreational assessment survey undertaken. The bylaw submission form on the website inquiring as to what submitters use the paper road for does not even mention surfing. I'd be very surprised if the council had no idea of the high value of the Spit and second surf break. The White Rock station owner certainly does by charging surfers for gate key access from the eastern side. I've been surfing White Rock since the mid-70s, much less since the gate went up at the White Rock station. This bylaw would have a terminal effect on public access. One thing that always impacted on me was the contribution to the economy by the surfing community and the lack of vision in encouraging surfing tourism in southern Wairarapa. Surfonomics has proven that where surf breaks exist, they make a significant contribution to local economies. Surfonomics has also demonstrated how local communities economies contract where surf breaks have been destroyed or impacted on by lack of access. South Wairarapa is missing out big time. Thank you very much. Now I hand back to Greg.
I'd just like to make a point of order in the sense that Michael referred to White Rock Station as being the landowner that charges for the key. It's not in fact White Rock Station, it's Ngāpatiki Station, the owner of that, Mr. Devonport, who resides in Raglan. White Rock Station is clearly not implicated in our concerns with regards to that lock gate.
Beg your pardon on that.
Yeah, no, all good, mate. You know, sorry, so now we're tuning into our question time, so.
That's fine. You're slightly ahead of time anyway. Thank you both for your presentations today. Councillors, any questions for either Michael or Greg? Councillor Ealams.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. With your submissions, you're focused on access to the surf breaks. Is the surfing community, would they be able and would they be prepared to help with solutions, practical or financial, in regards to working towards the access, securing access, whether it's from the Ngāpatiki or the Cape Pallisery?
I think, that's Michael as well, but I think what we're open to is seeking practical alternatives to the current proposed bylaw. We are concerned that consultation process didn't include us, and we'd like you to consider what we are requesting, that you would recommence that consultation process, including that recreational assessment, which is pretty critical to access. Michael, comment?
Well, I mean, there is room in the NZCPS, well, the direction on the NZCPS for maintaining and enhancing public access. Now, I really truly understand the concerns the local iwi have, as we all do, on negative impacts from people, you know, basically being cowboys in that area and chewing the place up. I would imagine there should be some sort of collaboration and helping with fencing off those areas and policing the four-wheel drive access to there. I mean, I can only speak from a surfer's point of view. Whenever I've gone over there, it's been a straight beeline to get to White Rock, you know. Yeah, so I could see there'd be plenty of ways of enhancing the access and building resilience into that access.
We'd love to participate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you both for your written and verbal submissions, for working together and for working with Amy to make
One very quick question, if I may.
the fastest question you've ever asked.
It's a very fast question. You use Save White Rock, and I know it's probably a detailed answer, but I just want to know why it was formed.
Well, that's a very good question. I contacted the Chief Executive of Surfing New Zealand to see what their position as a national body would be on this. Ben Kennings, who's a great guy, a lovely man, and I've met him out at White Rock many a time, said we're a little bit torn because we're funded by government and we don't want to be seen to be too antagonistic. When approaching the Wellington board riders to understand their position on it, the senior representative of Wellington board riders, I don't think he's called CEO, but the equivalent, has a conflict of interest. He owns a key to the gate at Ngāpatiki and was not prepared to back anything. So rather than do nothing, I contacted Michael and we decided to do something about it. The following we've generated, we managed to do it in 7 days, and we were quite well informed.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, so we have Lee Carter online. Lee, when you're ready, can you please turn on your camera? Oh, sorry, Michael, I will need you to turn off your camera and mute your microphone, but you are very welcome to stay online and listen in. Lee Carter's submission is number 2307, online packet number 7, page 2350, speakers pack number 80. You have 5 minutes to submit to councillors today. Amy on my right will give you a wave at minute 4 to let you know that your time is coming to an end. Please make a start when you are ready.
Talofa lava kia ora tātou. Hey, I'm not likely to be able to take any questions. Sorry, I have an urgent doctor's appointment at 2:30. So we'll just see how we go. So firstly, can you see this photo on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, starting on a positive, I'm sharing photos of you to give you the sense of immense beauty and captivating landscape that this public access has given people. I was planning to be there in person, but there's been some confusion, so I was going to hand this out for you to have a look at while I was talking. So if you can just have a quick look at just what we have experienced in our time of being able to get there, in particular this last photo. Accessing the swimming hole up at Stonewall has produced so many joyful and bewitching memories for our family and friends. And we feel very, very fortunate that we've been able to freely access such striking, unforgivingly beautiful terrain, the locals' piece of Eden. Over 3,500 submissions have been received, a record number. In 2015, 979 submissions on the Martinborough Town Hall were received. Then 957 submissions to the 2020-21 annual plan were received, which included information on the Kuranui Gym proposal. So what am I getting to here? Well, all of these consultations were very controversial, but very community-focused matters causing much debate. This proposal and Kuranui Gym have something in common. Both had a number of out-of-the-region submitters, even out-of-the-country submitters for the Kuranui Gym. All of those submissions were welcome and accepted by South Wairarapa District Council for the Kuranui Gym, setting a precedence that even though there are a significant amount of submissions out of the region for this proposal, they should all be recognised and accepted as part of your overall decision-making process. I just wanted to bring that point to you. Key points from my submission. I do not support the Paper Road Access Bylaw 2025, even though I totally understand the current and ongoing concerns. I chose this because of the following. There appeared to be a lack of iwi Council community engagement hui on this matter, and there needed to be much more kōrero discussions prior to public consultation taking place. I feel there was a massive opportunity missed here to bring communities and the out of the region users together to bring them on board, which has caused extreme backlash. Coverage on Q&A, TV1 News and breakfasts, I feel, far outweighed the in-person engagement that council undertook. Banning walkers and cyclists seems rather extreme. To me, this sent a clear message that the landowners wanted no one on their land at all costs. In addition, the consultation paper reflected an err on the side of caution, implying to me that if a decision needs to be made with uncertain outcomes, one would lean towards the choice that has the least potential for harm. I was also uncomfortable with the mixed messages from a media article and other media that land generation would benefit from the bylaw with a view that in the future controlled public or pedestrian access in conjunction with creating tourism opportunities wasn't ruled out. There was no information on how that would work in the future between landowners and council, and what of the fact that neither private landowners nor council were in a position to maintain an uninformed paper road. I felt that this was generating false hope. Over the last 2 days, I would have no doubt that you would have had many submitters, and I feel unfortunate that many haven't turned up, so that's not a good look. but I suspect that people would have come with solutions. One solution would be simply to ban four-wheel drives, but I fear that no solution would remedy continued damage done to the land with ongoing access, or damage done to council and iwi relationship if council were to decide to vote against the paper road access bylaw. There is no meet midway in this situation, I feel, which will cause huge disappointment on either side of the fence. You have a difficult decision-making process ahead of you. And that's the end of my of mine. I probably have a couple of questions if anyone has, but other than that,
thank
good
you,
luck
Lee.
to
Your
you.
time. Thank you, Lee. Your timing was impeccable. You were exactly 5 minutes almost to the dot. So thank you for that. Thank you for being with us, despite the fact that you have other important things to do. Both your written and verbal submission will inform our considerations as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
No worries. All the best, guys. See you later.
See ya.
Thank you. It doesn't look as though Andy has been able to join us this afternoon. So by my calculations, that takes us through all of our submitters for this afternoon and moves us to a pre-recorded submission from Susan. This is a pre-recorded verbal submission. So this is so yes, Susan. So you can watch and take notes.
So we don't have a,
No, just because they have other trouble.
very good. Wait, got ads first.
Go get yourself an ice cream.
Still recording.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Furkett. Although I now live in the South Island, Cape Palliser is dear to me and part of my cultural upbringing. My father wasn't able to walk up hills, and the walk to Cape Palliser is one of the few family day walks we could do. I cherish the memories, the place, and I want to safeguard it for others to be able to have similar special experiences. I am totally against the bylaw preventing access to Cape Palliser. Firstly, there is absolutely no reason to ban walkers and cyclists. I feel that a proposal to ban them should not have even been proposed without proof that they are causing significant damage. Not particularly wanting the public on public land is not an acceptable reason to ban them. If wheel ruts from vehicles are a problem, then perhaps a proper road should be formed. Then no further ecological damage would occur. This should be the first option considered. Saying that ruts cause ecological damage is a totally unreasonable argument. If it could be used to close this road, it could and should be used to close any and every road. Ecology doesn't thrive on roads. There's not a single road that is a thriving ecosystem. That is the cost of getting around. If this road must be closed because the area where the vehicles drive is not a thriving ecosystem, it would follow that every road in New Zealand should be shut. I feel this argument is simply an excuse to keep the public from public land. If ruts are an issue, there are many solutions. The road could be formed or fixed with gravel. If this wasn't sufficient, the road could be upgraded and sealed. This is standard procedure if traffic is too high for the current road surface. Or, if as a last resort, the road needs to be shut to vehicles, even just in winter, until one of the above options can be actioned, then it should be shut to all vehicles, whether they are owned by Maori or DOC or not. It is in no way acceptable to bar the public from public land. It must be remembered that this is also part of a bigger picture. We desperately need people to care more for our environment and our wild places. People protect what they love, The more you can get the public to get out and enjoy our environment, the more it will be cared for in a multitude of ways. Trying to keep people shut out or shut up in cities so they don't damage the environment won't work. It will not make them love and care for the environment nearly as much as being able to be out there and experiencing the wonders it has to offer. Only then will they realise it's worth fighting for. This will ultimately result in a far better environment for our wild spaces as well as for our people. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person to submit this, and I don't have access to a computer with Teams on it. However, if you want to ask me any questions, please feel free. Amy has my phone number. Thank you. Bye.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. That does bring us to the end of the formal hearings. It has been a busy 2 days of formal hearings. I wish to acknowledge everyone that has spoken, and as I mentioned earlier today, I also acknowledge that presenting in such a formal manner for many is both uncomfortable and not something that is of not something that we often do. So thank you for. Unfortunately, we can't do that for you today, Fitu. So we are.
Yesterday, and also in my submission, I did ask to speak. It wasn't my clerical error or whatever administration error that took my name off the list. So I think it's only right that I should have the opportunity.
Well, okay. If you noted that you wish to speak, we can move.
To go back on down.
So if you'd like to join us at the table, Fitu.
I understand really yourself, but at the end of the day, it was my mistake that took me off the list to speak.
Have we got,
If we just take notes and you'll match them to Fitu's.
I've got a submission and it can be a summary.
Yeah.
Submission.
okay,
Is it 64 from yesterday?
Is it 64 from yesterday?
60.
So speakers pack 60 for speakers pack from Wednesday the 3rd of September, number 64. So
Just take some notes for the meantime, otherwise, because I've gone offline now, I might have to.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not going to ping me. Right.
Nei te nui te mihi aroa ki te kanihira whatever ki te tonga. I know this is not a easy situation that you have been put in, but it's been a long drawn out situation and issue for the area of Ngāti Hine Waka. My name is Fitu Karona. I'm not a descendant of Hine Waka, but I have 3 tamariki and 10 mukupuna huhu. I would like to acknowledge the work that you have put into this issue, that it's been ongoing for years. Where it ends, we can only see. But thanks for the mahi that you have undertaken under the threats of legal action and the expense that will cost our ratepayers must be weighing heavily on your minds. The scaremongering that has been produced over the last few days must not make it easy for you to make your decisions today or through your deliberations. So many submissions have talked of their rights as public to use this road, with no concerns whatsoever for the original owners that the land was taken from. It was taken underneath the Public Works Act. For what purpose is hard to understand, but knowing the government of the time, it was probably for the economic benefit of the settler farmers who lived and worked around that area so that they may get their stock and produce to markets if so needed to, as an alternative route. Hine Waka Māori and Māori have occupied this whenua for hundreds of years. Not the 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years that some of the submissions have stated that they have been coming to this funeral. And then Waka have graciously stood by so that public could enjoy the funeral as they themselves have for decades. Unfortunately, the disrespect and disregard for waihi kapu, sites of significance in the whenua in general, has led them to find a solution to this serious issue. It is good to see that the majority of submissions are sympathetic to the landowner's plight and are willing to meet to discuss options. Let's see what can become of this process and the steps that can be taken and what is given that the whenua needs to heal. I'd like to acknowledge the hapu coming forward to speak to the South Waikato, I'm from South Wairarapa Māori Standing Committee, a committee that is set up so that graciously set up by South Wairarapa District Council so that they can hear Māori issues and Māori can have a seat at a table where their concerns are put forward. And who also helped bring this issue to
Any final questions for Whitu this afternoon? We do have some time if you would like.
Thanks a lot. It's a nice way to end.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice way to end.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So as I was saying, it has been a busy 2 days of hearings with many people heard, and it's often true that speaking in this formal environment isn't the natural course of business for those who have done so. So I commend all of you for having the courage to submit in a public forum. As I have mentioned many times, councillors have come to this hearing process to listen, to have it in mind, and to hear the. We just pause with the pick up to engage with the process as we move forward. We are now going to move on to the Paper Road Bylaw Hearings Report, and I ask Jess to join us at the table.
We're not done yet.
Not done. Jess, no?
Sorry, I can do it.
You'll do it. Okay, thank you. Janice.
Look at panic on Jess's face just then.
Thank you, Chair. The report that's in front of you is a summary of the various submissions, the various methods of receiving those submissions, identification of the total number of submissions that we received, which is 3,421 online, 144 by email or physical paper, and that we had 111 individuals that were scheduled to be heard. Obviously, over the course of the last 2 days, we've heard a significant number of those, but not all of them have been here to be heard. That said, all of their submissions will be taken into account. The final recommendation is just to note that deliberations will take place on the 24th of September. Other than that, I'll take the report as read. It does outline the media that we've been involved with, as well as a public meeting at Norway.
Thank you, Janice. So unless there are any questions for Janice on the report itself, I am looking for a mover to receive the full set of submissions on the bylaw. Note that 3,421 online submissions were received, that 144 email and physical submissions were received, that of the 111 scheduled submissions to be heard, we heard 71, both yesterday and today, and that deliberations will take place on the 24th of September. So Councillor Bolton, you to move that. Councillor Macaulay to second. All those in favour, please say aye. All those against, no. The motion is carried. And that brings us to our closing karakia. So please stand and join me for that. Sorry, thank you. Kua mutu amatu mahi. Nanakiti, matu makatoa, o mato hua, o mato whānau, io te aorangi. Our work is finished for the time being. Protect us all, our friends, our family. Peace to the universe.